Welcome to the F1 Debate Show.
We talk about the key talking points from the Australian Grand Prix and discuss the future of the season for Mclaren Honda.
As the flag falls in Albert Park, another is raced outside Maranello, and the Tifosi are singing once again as Sebastian Vettel takes another victory and the opening round of the 2017 Formula 1 season. And to be fair, guys, in my opinion, I don't know about you guys, but I thought it was a really boring Grand Prix. In fact, guys, little stat attack right at the start there, it was actually the shortest Australian Grand Prix we've ever had since its first race in 1985, of a time of 1 hour and 24 minutes. And I don't know about you guys, but I could actually feel that. I could feel how short it actually was. It was like 1 minute it was lap 2, next minute it was lap 55, and you're like, whoa, sorry, what, blink and you miss it? Like, when they say blink and you miss it, you literally did with the Australian Grand Prix. So Sebastian Vettel takes his first victory since the Singapore Grand Prix back in 2015. It's also the first time a non-Mercedes driver has led the World Championship since Sebastian Vettel in 2013. So Mercedes dominating all them years. And it's also the first time Mercedes have not topped the constructors since 2013, or actually, well, since the first race in 2014. But then again, so people are actually classing that as a Mercedes topping since they had well, supplying McLaren with engines. So obviously you can have your opinions on that. But one of the key things about the race was the overtaking. Now, obviously, during pre-season, a lot of people were saying that overtaking is going to be very, very limited. And obviously, when last episode we were talking about DRS, how ineffective that's going to be. That generally was the case in Australia, because Max Verstappen did say that whoever was going into turn 1 in the lead was going to win the race, and quite frankly that turned out to be not the case. Not because of there was loads of overtakes. It was because how it all unfolded, which is obviously going to bring on to a little bit of a debate, because Lewis Hamilton obviously comfortably in the lead. Sebastian Vettel actually kept up with him for a lot of the race, but it wasn't until Hamilton started struggling with his tyres. He couldn't get the temperature into his tyres, he couldn't get the grip, he was really struggling for the majority of the race. He then pitted a lot earlier, probably about 4 or 5 laps before Sebastian Vettel did, which then obviously gave Ferrari loads of time to open the gap away from Mercedes, which then obviously when Hamilton pitted, he was then stuck behind Max Verstappen, and as we've seen before, overtaking was very, very restricted, so he couldn't get past him, which then obviously allowed Sebastian Vettel to make his pit stop, come out in the lead again, and obviously go on to win the race. And a lot of fans were like, oh my god, that was just awful. How like Hamilton couldn't really put up a fight against Sebastian Vettel, because if that had been last season, Hamilton would have came through the grid and probably would have won the race. I don't know about Lyle. I don't know if you agree, Lyle, if you agree with that. But obviously you guys might. But I think that would have been the case. But obviously I think there was like something like 20 or 15 to 20 overtakes, on-track overtakes throughout the entire of the race, compared to last season's 37 or 38, I believe. That might. I was saying a stat like that. That could be a little bit wrong, but you know, this is definitely going wary. But I mean, obviously, first of all, let us know your opinions of the race in the comment section below. Like, was that good enough for you? Are you happy with how 2017 has started? But also, guys, Albert Park is not really a circuit known for overtaking, so we've got to wait till China to really see how overtaking, is it good or is it bad. So Lyle, obviously the overtaking side of things, were you impressed with the race? I mean, were you happy with how it went, or do you think that something isn't quite right here, let's say?
To be honest, the race was maybe not as good as all the hype, as you say, John. I mean, obviously we were building this up to be, you know, an amazing race. Obviously everything was going to be great about it. It was. Probably the only thing that probably was about it was obviously that, you know, Hamilton didn't win, Mercedes didn't dominate like obviously they did in 2014. Obviously with the race, obviously the first race was won by Mercedes, second race where they went to the top of the constructors, obviously indirectly first, as you say, about McLaren with the supplying the engine. So that was the shock Obviously, I mean, firstly, you've got to say the
look
cars look amazing. They really do look great. They bring back so many memories. Obviously, memories of if you watch like 2007, 2006, 2005, 2004, just those kind of stockier, you know, like closer to the ground cars was amazing. But yeah, the overtaking wasn't great. Obviously, the big thing is, obviously, remember the cars are much bigger. Albert Park is a street circuit as well. So yeah, maybe some drivers thought, I can't get through that gap. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. It wasn't great for that reason, and obviously there isn't many high street stretches, which is a bit like what you just said, Jordan, about Shanghai. Obviously it's got the massive kilometre long straight at the bottom. It's much faster corners, things like that. Obviously much wider on the circuit as well, so maybe we will see more overtaking on that race. But for Melbourne, it just wasn't what we were expecting. I think that the fans were expecting a lot more overtake, a lot more close wheel action, which we didn't really get. Obviously, there was two big factors why I think the drivers didn't want to push the cars too much, and that's because obviously of the length of the cars now, like the width of the cars and the tyres as well. They were probably thinking these tyres are massive, and also as well, I mean, you know, do I want to? You know, what's going to is a repeat of Silverstone 2013 going to happen again, where, you know, one little touch of them with anything is just going to, you know, they're going to blow off or something like that. But it just wasn't. It wasn't great. But the pace was, you know, average. I thought there would be one team to dominate them all, which wasn't really true. Mercedes were on par with Ferrari. You know, they were definitely battling each other. Obviously, Williams were strong. They were strong with like likes of Force India. Well, at least putting up the fight like that. Red Bull, obviously, at least one of them was putting up the good fight. I think the other one could have, but we'll get onto that in a bit. You know, so everyone's kind of mixing and matching and things like that. There isn't really one team to run off, which obviously we saw in, let's say, 2015 and 2016 as well. Obviously, 2016, big race. Obviously, remember Rosberg just ran away with the whole race. Apart from that 1 millisecond which we mentioned last time, which obviously when Vettel jumped the Mercedes at the start. So it was very much, you know, bunched up, but the overtaking just wasn't great. It wasn't really what I think the fans wanted. I think they wanted more overtaking and more wheel-to-wheel action. It wasn't really like that. It was more like a, you know, kind of a chain, people following each other, things like that. Obviously, Vettel and Hamilton at the front, swapping places, very close wheeling. Obviously, as I say, Vettel took advantage when Hamilton went into the pit, which obviously isn't really an overtake. If Vettel's going to class that as an overtake, that's just almost like a, you know, something that's going to happen. Obviously, Hamilton goes in the pits, he slows down because also to the tyres as well, and then Vettel takes over. I think the fans wanted more overtaking as well. But on the whole, though, it was a good race because obviously it was the first race of the season. I was glad that it wasn't very long. It was only less than an hour and a half because obviously I don't know if some of you are aware, but I had to go to work after the race. So the race started at 6, finished the race at 7:30, watched a bit of the podium, watched a bit of the Mark Webber interview, then I had to go to work for 8. So that was good for me. Reason for that is actually because the cars are a lot faster around the corners, so the lap record is a lot faster, which is great to see. We saw that in Catalonia, so it's not really much of a shock, obviously in pre-season, but yeah, they have smashed the Albert Park record. They'll probably will for many other races as well. It really is great, and as watching onboard footage as well, you can really see that they might not be as fast down the straight, and I think actually if you watch it, it does look a bit laggy. It does look a bit like, you know, come on, hurry up a bit. But around the corners, they are incredibly fast. But the overtaking, it just wasn't. I don't know. It just wasn't as what I wanted out of the race, Jordan. It just wasn't, you know, fantastic for the pushing of the drivers and the cars. But I think a lot of it was just the drivers trying to get grips of the cars, you know, trying to find out how much these tyres and how much the car can actually go its way, pushing it, but you know, just giving the car to its max. If anything, Australia might be a bit of a pre-season
test. It's only the first race,
part 2,
so obviously we don't want to jump into conclusions and saying like, F1 in 2017 is going to be bad. You know, these cars, they are bad. They are really bad. It's only the first race. You know, the next 19 races might be the best races ever.
Exactly.
So, you know, we're only judging from what we can see. And also, as I said before, Albert Park is not really a circuit for overtaking. I mean, in Monaco, it's going to be a nightmare because, like, if you get pole position, you're going to win the race. Like, I honestly don't think there'll be any on-track overtakes in Monaco. It's going to be weird.
It's going to be hard, it's going to be interesting, but obviously we'll see. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Yeah, so you say that Melbourne might be a pre-season test in Mark II for most teams on the grid to find out what the cars are like and things like that, especially in a race situation. But one team that it might be pre-season for, but it's not really moving forward, is a team that we've been talking about in the last 2 episodes, which is Mclaren. Now, it's just Mclaren, you know, what do you expect from those? We've been talking about them in episode 44 in episode 45, and obviously that's just the tip of the iceberg. Really, obviously they've been getting criticism from Fernando Alonso, obviously the two-time world champion in the team, going towards Honda, and basically they may as well have just stayed in the factory in Walking. It just wasn't really great from them. The race results speak for themselves, really. Stoffel Van Dorn finished the race in 13th place, 2 laps down, and he was the last person to finish the race, and Fernando Alonso retired in position 14, which is actually his race number, which was just inevitable, really. I mean, you know, McLaren retiring the race, you couldn't really say that was a massive shock for, really. One of the big things, though, what was getting us was the videos that were going around things like Facebook and social media, which was obviously people around the track getting videos of that McLaren, especially the audio and things like that. There was one actually that kind of sticks in our minds, which was down the second DRS straight, going into the corner, which is a McLaren downshift, and it just sounds like a broken Hoover with something stuck in it. It just sounds really, really bad in that way. You know, it's just not really great from them. I mean, what were they doing? Obviously, Fernando Alonso retires with car reliability failure. Really, it's just inevitable, really. It just wasn't what they needed to be. I think we discussed in episode 45, Jordan, about McLaren just being now a backmarker team. You know, they're not a forward team, if that makes sense. They're not like with obviously the likes of Mercedes, Red Bull, Ferrari, even Williams, Force India. Really, Toro Rosso had outgrown them, especially last season as well, and they're looking to outgrow them this time. Haas, things like that, and now they are just a backmarker. They're probably like, well, second off bottom, really, a bit like what they finished last year. You can just say it like that, really. So, well, sorry, I mean, take our man from the equation. Battling Sauber, really. I mean, this year they could even face finishing bottom, which is actually quite a worry. Because obviously, remember when Mallon dropped out, they were probably thinking, right, you know, we could finish bottom here. Just imagine that. But obviously, anyway, you know, McLaren just, you know, it's just not great from them. Their race was, you know, average, just growing on. Because obviously, you know, you always think it's going to be the new version of McLaren. I mean, obviously, you know, nice orange car, Stoffel Van Dorn, which obviously, remember, like last year, obviously, 1 point, he was the only like non-Formula 1 driver to have a Formula 1 point, which was great from him. You know, he was like looking like he was going to be the second coming. The new Max, a bit of an older Max Verstappen, obviously in the bordering country as well, or his home country. If Max, yeah, because people say Max Verstappen was born in Belgium, so yeah, the same country. You know, so we thought Stoffel was going to be a great driver, and he is. He's great. Obviously, he was the only finisher of the race for McLaren. So we thought McLaren, yeah, come on, they're going to come back. And obviously, remember last year was a good season from them, progressive. Obviously, much better than the first season with Honda in 2015, which was almost like a bad dream. And Jordan knows what I'm talking about. It just was bad. Anyway, but this year was going to be good. It wasn't, and to be honest, when we saw Fernando climbing out of that car, retiring from the race, I mean, Jordan, in episode 45, you did say, almost word for word, you said that McLaren, if they don't, you know, McLaren will retire from the race. They will retire from the first race of the season, and if they don't, I'll be like, you know, impressed. If they do, it'll just be like, you know, I knew that. You know, I knew that was going to happen. Roll on China when we can retire from that race again. It's just not good from McLaren. But I mean, are you shocked? Were you shocked to see Fernando finish? Sorry, were you shocked to see Stoffel finish last and then Fernando to retire?
Well, I wasn't really shocked. You know, I was expecting McLaren to be down on pace. To be fair, if we had retired from a mechanical problem on lap 1 with both cars at the same time on the first corner, I would have been like, yeah, I was expecting that, to be honest with you. So at any stage of the race, I was just like on the edge of my seat. Okay, that's another lap down. Oh, that's another lap down. Oh, thank God, you know, we're getting there, and bang. It just hits you. Because, quite frankly, I'll be honest with you, Fernando Alonso actually surprised me during the race because he was in P10 for the majority of the race, for about 20 laps, I would say. So I'm thinking to myself here, right, he could actually score our first point of the season, obviously with it being the first race. But if you remember last season, we scored our first point in the second round of the season, which was scored by Stoffel Van Dorn, coincidentally. So, again, we would have had a better start to this season than what we would have last season in a worse car. So that wouldn't have made any sense. And then we had the Renault and the Force India have a double overtake on us, which was on the start-finish straight, which I was just like, okay, right, I'm done, I'm going, see you later, right, I'm away. Obviously, Fernando Alonso complaining of steering to the left, I think he was saying, so obviously we're saying something like that, which obviously then forced him to retire. But no, you know, I wasn't expecting miracles from McLaren this weekend. You know, I'm surprised. To be fair, I was surprised that they got as far as they did. Fernando Alonso came out after the race and said that McLaren are just dead last. You know, they're just which they were. Even Sauber were actually beating us on pace. So, and we even said that Sauber were going to be the back market team. And obviously, what Lyle just said there about McLaren possibly finishing last, that is a possibility. And I'm worried. And I'm scared. You know what I mean? I never get scared with Formula 1. You know what I mean? I'm scared with McLaren. It's fine. You're going to be okay. You're not in 2017 because, quite frankly, it is going to be an absolute mess of the season. Unless we have some sort of like a eureka moment where we find a little spare part that we can just slot in, and or have maybe get some nitro, so, you know, some big bag of air, and just put it in the back of the car and just off we go,
something
like you do in Mario Kart, and do like perfect lap times, like you see in Toon. So, you know, let's get what was it called, RTD1 or something like that.
RTD1, that's it.
Let's get RTD1. I think we do perfect lap times. So,
and if you don't know what we're talking about there, don't worry, we'll keep you updated. But anyway, the last thing I want to say on this topic, John, obviously McLaren and their woes, is Fernando Alonso. Now, obviously, you know, out with the two drivers, he is the most frustrated. Obviously, Stoffel wants a good car, you know, don't get us wrong. Yeah. But Fernando Alonso, one of the oldest drivers in the grid, two-time world champion, he's been kicking around. Obviously, his first world championship was 12 years ago. His second with 11. So obviously, you know, it's a long time that. I remember a game when they were saying, obviously in 2015 with the bad car. I remember actually it was Japan 2015 was obviously, you know, the bad race GP Formula 2 engine was obviously, and that was when I actually heard on the telly they were saying that Fernando Alonso's first world championship was a decade ago. Wouldn't it be great to do it again or something like that? That was never going to happen. It doesn't matter what I say now. But anyway, so the thing that I was thinking, because obviously McLaren, Fernando Alonso, he's very, very frustrated with the team. And like I said in episode 45, obviously remember Honda is stuck with McLaren, or McLaren is stuck with Honda for the rest of the season. Which means that Fernando Alonso is stuck with McLaren till the rest of the season. No, he's not. Because last year, as you all remember, and obviously we remember, you know, something like 3,000 likes, was obviously something called trade places. And that was between Daniel Kvyat and Max Verstappen, as you all know, Toro Rosso and Red Bull. So basically what were we thinking of is obviously there's a third place driver at McLaren in the shape of Jenson Button. And we thought we'd never see him. We never thought we'd see him again. No. But hang on, Felipe Massa's back, so why can't JB?
He likes things, you know,
that's the thing.
You know, he retired short, yet he was the 32nd world champion. And he's a short person, so he likes things short.
That was a shock. That was a shock. At least we didn't have a Brazil-style cry fest for JB, because he might be back. And that's the thing. I mean,
handed the car back, so.
And that's the thing. I mean, obviously JB, you know, he might come back anyway. So basically, you know, it is an option. Fernando Alonso stepping down and JB finishing the rest of the season.
That could happen.
Because obviously Fernando will just be sick and tired of this rubbish car. Even the first, to be honest, so you might be out there, you might be thinking to yourself, you know, come on, lad, come on, John, come on, F1 Debate Show. Yeah. You know, there's only been one race of the season. Well, no, there hasn't, because Fernando Alonso's had 2 full seasons and 1 race, and he even probably knew. About halfway through 2015, well, he knew before Japan, because obviously he wouldn't have come out with Formula 2 engine. You know, he wouldn't have come out with that, obviously, if he thought there would still be hope. That might be an option. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Do you want us to talk about this more in an episode as well? The possibility of JB and FA swapping places, trading places Mark II. You know what I mean? Because, you know, what is Fernando going to do? That's a big thing. What is Fernando going to do? Obviously, he's been very heavily criticising the team, the McLaren, the works, the manufacturers, the team, and obviously the engine and the engine suppliers, Honda from Japan. Basically, all the criticism and all that's been thrown their way, because obviously they control the car. It's not him. He's a 2-time world champion. Basically, he's still saying to the team, put me in a Ferrari or put me in a Mercedes or whatever, and I can do the job. And to be honest, Fernando probably can. He needs to prove himself, and that's the thing. So Jordan, I mean, Fernando is very, very frustrated. You know, you can almost feel his anger. You can feel it, can't you? You can feel how frustrated he is, and he just needs a car to prove himself in. And for the past 3 seasons, so yeah, 2015, 2016, and the start of 2017, he hasn't had that car, and he probably won't have it for the rest of the season, will he?
Well, when Jenson Button was coming to the end of his Formula 1 career, you could tell how deflated and how, like, I just want to retire now. I want to go away now. You know, Fernando Alonso, he seems to have that attitude. I mean, in the press conference, you know, I mean, there was a picture of him, obviously, loads of memes going about where he said, like, you know, oh, why didn't I stay at Ferrari? You know, look at what Ferrari's doing. He was just sitting there all You know, this again. You know, if it happens, I wouldn't be surprised. But then it just means that McLaren are in one big mess, because that means they have to bring in Jenson Button to do half a season, then they'll have to look for another driver in 2018, because then, you know, if Jenson wants to come out in 2018, you know, and he races in 2017, he's not going to be bothered to race in 2018, so that means McLaren are going to have to look at another driver, and it's just going to mess up the team. So, right, if Alonso does decide to walk, it is pretty much like, right, that's it. McLaren are just what's the future? You know what I mean? Like, I personally don't. I hope he doesn't. I hope McLaren do improve. As like we said, it's only the first race, so let's not count our chickens just yet. Let's see how China goes. Let's see how Bahrain goes, and let's see how the rest of the season goes. We'll probably know about Silverstone time, you know, or Hungary perhaps, when it's the halfway stage of the season. We'll probably know what's going to happen. You know, obviously the shutters might close. You know, go away into the sunset for a bit, come back to Belgium, and then we'll go, JB, what are you doing here? Who invited this guy? And JB's rocking up like, hello everybody, and he's back, and it's like, whoa, where's Fernando, guys? And Fernando's on his deck chair somewhere in Spain, drinking a cocktail while watching the race, and be like, oh, okay.
It'll be on the F1 debate show, John. Come on.
Exactly.
It'll be your replacement.
There's always a space here on the F1 debate show.
It'll be John's replacement. Don't worry.
Alonso, you know, come over here. But yeah, I mean, I hope he doesn't, because generally Fernando Alonso is one of the best drivers of all time in terms of ability. I mean, we've seen the starts he's had in a Ferrari, even in the McLaren Honda. He's had some terrific starts, especially more in 2016. I mean, in Australia, he drove the car very well to keep us in P10 for a lot of the race. So it just proves how much we need Fernando Alonso. And I think if JB comes in, you know, I don't like disheartening anyone, but I don't think JB will be as good as Fernando. If you know, I'm not saying that JB, you know, is a bad driver. I'm just saying I think Alonso is a better driver, and I would prefer Alonso over Button. So I don't know how we feel about that. But I think one of the things that McLaren need to do is get a Mercedes engine, which is big, because obviously there has been a bit of rumours about that. Well, you know, McLaren do need a Mercedes engine, who obviously are dominating the sport right now, but they didn't dominate on Sunday, did they? Did they? Like, they didn't dominate. I was very surprised on their pace, because, you know, I was expecting literally Mercedes to run away in the sunset, with Ferrari, you know, just like, no, stop, wait, stop,
stop it right there.
Stop, you know, chill out, everybody. Just Vettel down, right? And and I was expecting that from them. And actually, I seen a quote this week where I was a bit like, oh god, like Nicky Lauda's just like, you know, he's went there. He even said that Valtteri Bottas did a better. Sorry, he said that Valtteri Bottas did a better job than what Nico Rosberg would have done if he was in that car for this season. I was like, whoa, that's whoa, just straight out there, guys. And obviously, we want to see a closer challenge in Formula 1. We want to see a closer fight, like what we have seen in the past, you know, when we had McLaren, Red Bull and Ferrari. Recently, since 2014, it's just been Mercedes. Red Bull have had a bit of a, you know, okay, we were there for a bit. Ferrari have been there for a bit. Last season, Mercedes were just nowhere in sight. The only two times when they lost a race was down to their cars crashing into each other, or an engine fire. Oh, no. So, you know, I think, and obviously this season, they've already lost one race. So, after like, oh god, well, there's the record books, you know, away already. And I think we are going to see a very close fight. I'm even tempted to put a bit of money on Ferrari winning the constructors. You know, if you remember last season when I put Haas to win the constructors, and I could win about £3,000 back, and obviously that.
Yeah, but I can't imagine you get three grand for Ferrari, because I think they'll still have good odds, especially for what they did last year as well. You
know what they say though? In for a penny, out for a pound or something like that. In for a penny, in for a pound or something like that.
Something like that. Something like
that. So I mean. Well, obviously, you asked me before, Lyle, about was I surprised about McLaren, or was I shocked about McLaren? So, were you shocked about Mercedes not being there with the pace, or do you think that was just a one-off?
Well, the thing is, I mean, obviously, I was very happy with Ferrari winning the race.
I was delighted.
It was great. It just was great to see Vettel obviously overcoming it. Ferrari, their pace from pre-season coming forward. Mercedes, it just was a bit of a shock. It's almost like they're bad losers actually, because obviously all the pictures are going around, all the memes are going around of Toto Wolff, obviously like, you know, bashing the table and things like that. One thing that I want to mention though, one thing that I saw, which obviously people are picking up on, is obviously when the podium celebration races were going on. Valerie was happy because obviously it was his first race. It was his first race, his first points, well done, first podium, well done. And not first podium with the team in his first race, first point for the new team was great, and he could have challenged the wins. Obviously, it is a great start for that. People will remember that for Mercedes, Valtteri Bottas driver, and that's where Niki Lauda's quote might have come from. So there's a bit of like controversy in that, just dab it out Niki Lauda, to Nico Rosberg, because it's just, I don't know. But anyway, on the podium though, I did notice that Lewis Hamilton was very, very like kind of, a bit like a sore loser though, John. He was standing there, yeah, I'm happy, kind of, I should be standing where Sebastian is. And Valerie, I don't know what you're smiling for, mate, because obviously we had a. Well, it was a bad car. If I don't win, if Mercedes don't win if Mercedes don't finish, numero uno in the constructors after race 1, and Lewis wins, they're not happy. They haven't got a good car. That's almost the mentality that they were going forward. And if you watched Ted Notebook, and if you heard all the talks afterwards, Mercedes were the first team to pack the bags and leave. The first team to say, see you later, to Australia, ready to go. Well, Lewis went to Dubai. I don't know where Valerie went, I don't know where the team went, but obviously getting ready for Shanghai. So obviously, that was a bit childish from them, but obviously Mercedes were doing a good race. Obviously Valerie was settling into the car. I'd say he was a great driver, and obviously I know we don't do a review to give the driver of the day awards anymore, but Valerie was very high up to get it, because obviously for his first race he was showing that car was really, really great. But to be honest, the Mercedes, if they were going to dominate, you'd think that after 3 seasons, after being the constructors champions in 2014, 2015, and 2016, with a 3-time world champion and obviously the most recent world champion in their team, obviously who's left now, they'll still have that title. You'd think that they would run away with this. It's going to be interesting to see what Mercedes will be bringing to China, because they'll be thinking, well, Lewis will be thinking, come on, I need to do better than this. Valerie will be thinking, well, I've had a taste of the podium, I need to go for it again. And obviously we know Toto is annoyed, he wants to be on top. They want a 1-2 finish, like they had something like 17 out of the 20 times last season. Because obviously, as you know, they were flying. The only time that they weren't flying was Malaysia and Spain. So what I've just said, it's 18 out of 20. The only 2 times that they didn't have 2 Mercedes drivers on the podium was in those 2 races, and in one of those races I think they had a 1-3, so then what I've just said is 17 out of 20 for 1-2s. So there we go. Right, and my earpiece has just fallen out. So basically, which side is that on? I'm looking at myself and there we go, this side. So anyway, so yeah, Mercedes, they'll definitely need to be bringing something more to China. It really is a bit of, strange from them, but obviously it's great for Ferrari to run away with it. But the last team though that I want to mention is Red Bull. Now obviously Max Verstappen 5th place was good from him, strong, but they're just not looking like they're on form, John. Red Bull was supposed to be the team, obviously, as you said many times, Max Verstappen was the second favourite behind Lewis Hamilton to win the World Championship, and Red Bull with the team, technically the second place team, they were the ones who were supposed to be challenging Mercedes, and after the first race it's just not there. Daniel Ricciardo had a bad race, but obviously reliability, I mean, Red Bull have never, they've just never really struck yet as a team to have reliability problems, have they? You know what I mean? It's obviously the massive teams like McLaren are. Ferrari, yes, because obviously remember last year Vettel had a good few problems, reliability problems. I remember that one in Bahrain, which was his biggest, which obviously in the 2016 Bahrain Grand Prix, which obviously he had that like smoke on the parade lap, which was massive. Obviously that was massive, that wasn't it? Mercedes not really, but obviously they could fall foul a bit like what they did in Malaysia 2016. Red Bull were never really there. Reliability's just never really got them down, really. It's always just been, different things and different errors. Obviously, remember last year we had things like, just different crashes here and there, Max Verstappen in Monaco, things like that. And obviously pit stop errors, which obviously happened twice in the season, once in Monaco, which obviously was the biggest one, and then once in the United States with Max Verstappen, which kind of strangely he won driver of the day. we mentioned that after America, and we were still kind of surprised about that. But it was a good race from Verstappen, as I just said, and Red Bull, we're making progress, but it's just not where they wanted to be. 5th place from Verstappen, retirement from Ricciardo in his home race is just not very good. I even said in the recording of the GP preview show that he would win the race. Thankfully that didn't come out. Well, not thankfully, but at least I didn't say something that was a lie. But anyway, so Jordan, I mean, obviously Red Bull, a team that, you know, last episode, we said that they are a likeable team, didn't we? We said that Max and Daniel, you've always got to have a sweet spot for them. Were you upset that Daniel retired again from his home race? Obviously, you remember I was, because I said he was going to win. Max, 5th place. It was a good drive, don't get me wrong, but Red Bull as a whole, as a team, you know, to think that they, you know, fell foul of obviously Ferrari and Mercedes, it just wasn't great for them. To think that they're supposed to be a team who are, you know, supposed to be breathing down Mercedes' neck, ready to pounce when they make a little slip up.
To be fair, obviously I was gutted that Ricciardo didn't finish his home race. You know, I wanted him to be on the podium, to be honest with you, because I love it when a driver does well at his home race. You know, when Ricciardo does well in Australia, when Kvyat does well in Russia, when Hamilton does well in Britain. You know, it is nice to see the fans, you know, get behind that driver. Obviously, Ricciardo crashed in qualifying in Q3, and then obviously retired during the race. And I was like, oh, it's just been a horrible weekend. And then he said on the radio, let's get the out of here, like what he did in Monaco 2016. So again, you know, he should be there embracing the atmosphere, enjoying himself, when really all he wanted to do after that was just go, right, it's been a horrible weekend, I just want to go. Max Verstappen, on the other hand, P5. Now that's not a bad result, but it's not a good result, I would say. You know, as like I said, I thought Red Bull would have been a lot closer to Mercedes. They were literally nowhere near Mercedes at all. Ferrari, obviously everyone knew Ferrari were going to be up there, but everyone thought Red Bull would be up there as well, and they weren't. So, and I was a bit like confused, and I was a bit like, right, okay, I don't think Red Bull are going to have the fairy tale story that everyone was expecting them to go back to the top and win the constructors, because I don't think that's going to happen. You know, as like I said, don't count your chickens just yet. But from that, you know, as we've seen in the past, you know, if Ferrari do go on to dominate the first part of the season, it's going to be a big struggle for Red Bull to catch up. Or even if Mercedes turn the tables and they start winning the races, Red Bull by Silverstone, it's going to be like, oh, you know, I keep saying Silverstone for the halfway point. It's more or less Hungary. You know, before the summer break, they'll go. It's a big mountain to climb, because, you know, if we win 2 races out of the next 5 after that, Mercedes win them 3, or Ferrari win one of them 5. It's going to be like, you know, okay, we're doing well, but we're nowhere near where we wanted to be because we lost at the start of the season. It's all, you've got to have a good start if you want to win the constructors and the drivers. The points need to be now. These are probably the most important points now than what there will be probably about Malaysia, Japan, you know, Abu Dhabi time, I would say. So obviously every point counts, but the reliability of Red Bulls, it just isn't good. And they do need to improve, and fast, because you know, they don't want to have a 2015 season where it was just bad. 2016 was good, you know. But then again, come to think about it, at the start of 2016, it was Mercedes, Ferrari, and Red Bull in pre-season in terms of pace. It was just Ferrari's strategy let them down at the start, and the reliability in the next race that cost them probably, you know, a couple of podiums, perhaps even a win. And then obviously as the season went on, the reliability just deteriorated, and Red Bull sort of capitalised on that and thought, okay, right, Ferrari's tripped up, we're now going to overtake them. This season, the strategy played well for Ferrari. You know, congratulations to them, their strategy team. You know, eventually you know what you're doing. Thank God for that. You know, you've waken up. You know, chop chop, guys. Come on, let's get the strategy right. And obviously now, you know, as like I said, it is a similar start. However, if Ferrari can get the strategy right, Red Bull are going to be behind Ferrari. So, you know, I think it is going to be a bit of an uphill battle for now. But for the time being, I think it is going to be a Mercedes-Ferrari battle. But I do hope Red Bull can join the party sometime soon during the course of the season. So. Just to add a bit of spice into Formula 1, into 2017. But anyways, guys, that's all we've got time for today. Thank you very much for watching. If you have enjoyed the video, please give it a like as well. Comment below about anything that we've said during the videos. Also subscribe if this is the first time you have seen me and Mal on your screen. Well, obviously every single week, Saturday at 6 PM GMT, we will upload a new episode as well. Maybe a few previews during the week, maybe a couple of vlogs in there as well, just to add a bit of spice.
Just a bit of spice.
Just a bit of spice to the channel.
Just a bit of lovely.
Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode.
See you later, guys.